Alright, welcome to another edition of What the Fuck Happenings Here in Mendham. Alright, so let's assume, okay, you might be somebody listening for the first time. Hello, YouTuber. Is that what I was supposed to say? Friend. Yeah, try not to just impulsively click away and say, who cares? Because trillions of sentient beings are dependent on you. I mean, it really is. You can be a hero here by just recognizing that you want to be on the side of, right and preserve the feeling things from being abused by all the wrongs. And that's really the subject here, is what does the future need us to do? And the fact is the future needs us to prevent the future. Yeah, prevent the part anyway that has anything to do with this whole cycle of death thing. Struggle, and death. Struggle, failure, and death. It's all quite dismal, frankly. And, it happens to a bunch of immature young ones. The little ones get swallowed by more crocodiles than any other, form. And the immature, however you want to describe the children, save the children. That's what, and it's all on you, frankly. You have to play your role here, or the script says you didn't play a role and everybody gets fucked. So you're making a choice, to either be a good guy or a bad guy. And it's just a fact. And pretending I don't have to be in either one, I can be a squirrel instead, that's not going to undo the fact that your brain was handy capable. It was capable of understanding. It was capable of, adding 2 plus 2 and getting 4, and it chose. It made the decision to just evade that responsibility to do the math and to do the right thing. Blah, 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 blah. So anyway, so few of you are new here. So yes, it does get redundant for the people who've been here and done this. But anyway, it's just too bad, I guess. I don't have don't have much to say. I mean, until we have some more constructive way to spend our time than talking about it, that's all we're left with and stuck with. I am trying to do that constructively, adding value and whatnot, but it's not that easy. And I have a strategy. We'll see how it plays out. But anyway, see how close I am to approximating how to do this the right way. And maybe I'm way off, and therefore I suck. But can't know until it's over, kind of, who sucked and who didn't. So anyway, alright, so I did make a video talking mostly about how to make this argument and all the different ways to make the argument, all the different arguments that are part of the argument, how you proceed to interact with human brains and such. And so I did start with the simple statement that the name of donotgod.com, I mean, the whole reason why I was compelled to create such a domain is because this is the number one piece of bad logic and bad fact and bad stuff that gets in people's heads and ruins the whole calculator. I mean, it's a bad formula, and it makes all their calculations, it perverts all of them, and so they can't do logic and reasoning because they have a notion, in the mix. And it might as well be compared to, one bad apple ruins the pie kind of thing. A little bit of arsenic is too much arsenic, in this case. And, it just doesn't matter how many good thoughts you have. If you have those kind of bad thoughts, your thoughting won't produce anything very useful. So I'm sure I'm saying something like that here. So let's see what I say. Exactly. Let's see, you probably don't need that much volume.
I was like stunned that my mother would make up this gigantic lie.
Right. And I sort of say you're doing that Lord's Prayer thing and you're saying, what the fuck am I doing? I'm praying to some evil overlord that's going to kill me or my family if I don't sit there and say, please don't. Wow. I mean, shit. What kind of fucked game is this? I mean, that's a kind of slavery I have no interest in being a participant in. I'm just some little thing that some monster up there is playing with, and, I have to somehow sing and dance the right way or be cute enough, or he'll fucking do all kinds of horrible things to me. Fuck this. Too silly. So anyway, yeah, it was just too fucking. It was. It was too illogical for a 5-year-old to swallow. In terms of just the creation of the monster itself, and then the idea that people believe in the monster even though they never seen the monster. They don't have any photos of the monster. There's no Area 51 with monster parts in it. I mean, nothing. It's just such a stupid theory. And yes, this is what we're fighting against, frankly, because the rest of the facts, if you take God out, all right, and then you take some of the little panty-wearing fairy scientists out, who have all kinds of silly notions about gingerbread land and all that kind of shit. The quantum gingerbread. Um, life is bleak. I mean, the facts are just horrible, and you can watch it every day. You can watch all these little monsters trying to kill and spill acid on the monsters, and it's just carnage, 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 death, death, horror, horror. Shit, it's terrible. And every single thing gets smished. Everything gets crushed. It's like every single thing squiggling. The foot eventually squishes it. So what the fuck are we doing here? Oh, you got squished sooner than me. Ah ha ha ha. Yeah, so what? Oh, I mean, it's so fucking stupid. All right.
If you take at their expense, the
Uh,
expense is real.
Yes, that's right. So, and that's all the game is this parasitism. You really can't have if somebody else doesn't unhave. Just a fact. Whatever victories you have in life, they'll come at somebody else who has to take the silver medal or the bronze medal, or the broken leg. I mean, it's just a fact, and it's all very deserve seldom has much to do with anything. And it's just, you know, why would we play such a stupid game where failure is everywhere? I mean, the insidious traps are everywhere. Traps that just, yeah, there's just this one's a little sticky, that one's a lot sticky, this one's got knives in it, that one's got swords in it, this one's got explosives in it. I mean, there's all kinds of different landmines. And you're supposed to figure out some way to navigate it. Okay, well, try not to smoke cigarettes and try not to drink too much and try not to do this and try not to do that. And you can weave some sort of path, but there's still 90% of the landmines are still in your path. And so it still takes 90% luck and 10% sensible navigation. And what a stupid fucking game.
That we're just victims of a chemistry experiment.
Right, so without God, that's what you're stuck with, is that, yes, the universe has this mechanical system, the energy is moving the matter, the energy moving the matter thing can end up making swirly bits and, isolated bits, and the temperatures can be variable, and they can do this and they can do that, and these 100 elements can mix in lots of different ways and make lots of different compounds, and you can end up with some kind of replicating DNA molecule, and then you can end up with that thing turning into little cellular monsters, and then the cellular monsters can all group together into a big giant organization and create electrical cellular monsters, and the electrical ones can create all this sappy crap in our brains, and then we can have this delusion that we're alive. And but it's no delusion that you feel sensations. And they definitely don't feel good, some of them. All of those facts are there, and it's all to make just a bunch of robots to beat the shit out of each other, and one of them eventually in the end to go, I win. My ancestors all survived. They ran away when there was a plague, and when there was a flood, they threw the other people into the flood, and, it's not a great story. The story of your success has a lot of cheating and shit in it, frankly. You're built on it, built out of it.
That there really isn't anything we can possibly do to make it worth it.
So yeah, there's no real positives to be gained. We can't go out and help Jupiter across the street. There's no old ladies in space to go help across the street. There's no good deeds to do to get our little badges. The only place to do a deed is here, in the shithole, and you can save a couple of people from a worse fate, okay? And that's all you can do is figure out what their current fate is, and maybe push them into a better fate. But are you really getting somewhere? Did you really save them from something? There's all these little tiny things. The scene in a movie just popped in my head of that repeat movie with Tom Cruise with the war thing against the weirdo aliens. And, there's this guy, fat guy, who gets, ship falls on him. And, he tries to save them, and, but he gets squished too. And eventually doesn't bother, I guess. But what would he save him for, right? I mean, he'd save him for 14 seconds and then he'd have a worse fate. I mean, it's probably better off being squished than, being injured and wounded and all of that crap. So, it's just nothing, this is just bad to worse. And that's all we can do is, we can make it bad instead of worse. Oh, fuck. So again, that's like the God delusion. That's like, well, why would I want to be a participant in a game where that's the fun of it? Yeah, you can make it bad instead of worse. Just bad. Just horrible. Not double horrible. Ah, shit. Ugh, the gift of life. Yeah. Yes, lament.
I saw a T-shirt that had a picture of like a tramp.
Oh, so I was talking about women in a small context of just the fact that language, words scare people. And so there was a T-shirt I saw that said, Tyrannosaurus, and it said something like Cuntosaurus, and I just thought that was funny. Because sometimes it just like, there does seem to be some validity to that theory that men are from Mars and women are from Venus. It seems to be some credibility that somehow that there must be something going on, because man, Jesus. Anyway, bitches.
Children die, but we did in the past. I mean, it was just a fact. You read a little bit of the past, and from the past, and it's just horrible because you're.
All right, so I could just say it again. And your kids die, your wife dies. I mean, it's just so brutal. I mean, just fucking. You're just saying, how do people survive that hard shit? I mean, even if you're rich, there's shit in the streets. There's the whole thing is so dirty and awful. And it's just, oh god damn. I mean, you just figure as soon as you invented the gun, you just know to pick it up and blow your brains out, because this is just too silly. That's another scene from a movie, right? That Patriot movie, and one of the guys, the British kills his family, rapes and pillages them, and he's sitting there in a scene, and he just takes his gun and blows his brains out. Because I see that's you've seen enough. How much do you have to see, before you just say, oh, fuck. I'm not suggesting you blow your brains out. I'm just saying, it's that kind of situation where you're just saying, gee, that would be the best thing I could do for myself. But again, that won't do the future any good. So it doesn't do your warring comrades any good. If you blow your brains out, we can't go smite them back. We can't have a revenge war. It's so bad, so many levels. No matter what you do, it's just so difficult to live a good life.
Fact that somebody else doesn't have it. So there's this whole argument about your existence versus your non-existence, and the fact is,
Yeah, so that's just the simple truth. So just recognize that everything you have, somebody else would have had if you don't have it. Your house, if you're not living in it, somebody else would have been living in it, and maybe they would enjoy it more than you or get more out of it. And same for your wife and everything. Everything you have, somebody else would have had, and somebody else would have an opportunity to do those things better than you did them, and bring that person more or less, happiness and joy and all that crap. And it's a hell of a responsibility, and nobody, even talks about it, let alone thinks. There's just so few. Let alone nobody thinks about it, let alone talks about it. Let's put it that way. You can't do it the reverse way. Continuing.
kind of little thing like that. Yeah, they're gonna be very similar people with the similar beliefs, similar.
So just talking about the fact that sort of getting into this altruism argument that it'd be nice if we could do that, be a hero thing, but it's always kind of tainted, and even my ambition to be a good person is tainted by the realization that a substantial part of why I do this is because I'm afraid of the future you're going to impose on me. The life lovers and the defenders of the pro-lifers, okay, the anti-responsibilityers, the anti-do-the-right-thingers, will tie me to the gurney in the future, in the sense that somebody's going to be born tomorrow and they're going to end up playing my role. Okay, they're going to have similar experiences and they're going to draw similar conclusions, and they're going to figure out, oh, I'm in a trap, and the whole thing is psychological, and oh shit, I'm just being manipulated, okay, by a million-year-old molecule, and it just sucks. And they're going to have to just endure that suck and understand all of this bad, and recognize that I really can't derive much permanent pleasure out of this system. There's not much I can do, because I'm going to be constantly haunted by the reality that I exist in. I'm going to see the blood dripping from the trees, even though it's not literally doing it. Okay, I know figuratively every click of the second hand on the clock. There's this incredible price being paid for our existence. Horrible things are happening not only to humans right now, but to billions of animals right this minute. And there's not a damn thing we can do about it except, convince each other that it's really way too high a price to pay. And it's all very frustrating and dismal and sad and fuck. Yeah, so I'm trying to stop me from having to do this forever. For as long as you remain belligerently hostile to intelligent conversation. That's how long we'll have to do it for, is until then. So in some sense, I'm talking to myself, versions of myself, who have lived through all this horse shit. And yes, they got little subtle differences. They're distracted by different things. They like women with big giant boobs or something. I don't know. So there's some differences between us. But generally speaking, okay, fundamentally, substantially, the same kind of gears are turning. And so it's fear of having to do this over and over and over again. And from worse positions, frankly. I mean, I've had sort of an advantageous position, this rendition. I only spent a few months homeless, and I've only spent, my life hasn't been full of, great tragedies, just little murders. And, and there's other people that have had the hard luck. And ugh, shit. I don't want to do the worst version of this. I don't want to do this version, and I certainly don't want to do the worst version. Over and over and over again. Because you're obnoxiously stupid. Because there's these obnoxiously cruel, nasty bastards on this planet who won't do reasoning. They won't do logic.
Okay, the solution can't be, to pollute somebody else's water, that kind of thing.
All right, so just understanding the ethical obligation and how the future is just so much bigger than the present, and there's just really no other agenda than to clean up the mess. And the easiest way to clean up the future's mess is to prevent it. It's the easiest way.
Accurately document is our own robotic function. And the fact is that that's all we can do is.
Right. So our brain has this capacity to do it, and that's what we should use it for, is to get the truth, to analyze the facts. That there are plenty of them now. We have a plethora of them, so we can certainly know religions are out of bounds. That's just too silly. None of the facts correlate to that theory. And the fact is all the facts do correlate to the theory that this is just a chemistry war, and the invention of sentience was for no other reason than to create this motivating mechanism, this reward and punishment thing, and the punishment is the only real piece that exists, is the whip, the ouch, and it's only getting rid of your fetters and your burdens that you ever feel good. Any good you feel is just a release of all the gnawing tensions.
There's so little room for delusional thinking because the facts are pretty rigid. Facts like you're not going to invent a warp drive. You're never going to travel faster than the speed of light. None of these things are going to happen.
Right. So the New Age religion of science is providing of all this little wooey talk about all kinds of wooey adventures to have is just that. It's pie in the sky. It's just another sky daddy. Another bullshit theory of reality where there's some purpose in this meat grinder, this slaughterhouse, and it's just a malicious mistake for us to sit there and pretend it has function when all it's doing is killing children, lots of them, badly. You don't rationalize something that kills lots of children badly. You don't find excuses for it. Ugh, shit.
The first forms and the second forms. The first forms are the single-celled organism.
Right, so it's just all part of our story, is that people don't even get this life thing right? We don't live, we die. And when we call ourselves alive, we're not even recognizing the fact that the life forms have two fundamentally different types. The cellular type and then the multicellular mechanism, the thing that's enslaving living things. We're just a box full of enslaved cells. It's an interesting fact that the evolution happened in two ways. It happened in the chemical way that created these little cellular monsters, and then it took the cellular monsters and arranged them, in a mechanism that now does what it's called living, in the sense that it's competing. So there's two versions of the gladiator war, one on the cellular level and then one on the multicellular, make a machine out of machines. Interesting, but it's just part of the Insidious story.
Plain cruel and insidious, and again, it's such a crude system that throws away all kinds of really good innovation because it's such a simple and crude process that
Right. So there was a ton of missing links, which were there was a ton of organisms that were created some sort of advancement in function, and they were just destroyed by bad luck. Slipping on a banana peel or some other bullshit. So this competition isn't even in some way strictly meritorious. There's not like some survival of the best organism because it has great ethics and blah 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 and all that kind of crap. It's they're just scheming machines, and the fact is that some of them most of them will fail, not because they failed to be an improvement, but they failed to be able to overcome the mountain that they had to climb. You can understand. Let's say the innovation happens in small little groups, and then the small group, once it gets big enough, it can now challenge the giant herd. And that's always going to be an iffy contest of dilution. Can it migrate the herd in its direction, or will the herd absorb its genetic code? Which code will win? And obviously those battles are going to be very nuanced, and it's not going to have anything. The side that's going to win is going to be really a coin toss. It's not going to be anything about merit.
and if we choose not to use it, then we have chosen to impose the consequence of that lack of use.
Right. So if anybody just runs away from this responsibility to have an opinion, to pick a side, that's picking a side. Okay. If you don't choose to fight the Nazis, then essentially you're sympathetic to the Nazi position and have advanced their position for them, and you've done everything you can to be a good Nazi. So not making a decision, not clearly positioning yourselves as either the pro or the anti, you can't really run away, because as soon as you start turning around to run away, the anti label is on you, or the pro label in this case. Not acting is acting. You just can't evade the fact that you will decide whether you're deciding intentionally or not. Okay, you're voting whether you vote or not.
Yeah, live short and die badly.
Yeah, that's my new catchphrase, the Vulcan thing. Yeah, live short and die badly. Yeah, that's what people deserve, frankly, because they really don't take any responsibility for their existence. They don't play this game at all well. They're just such pieces of shit. Run away and selfishly protect their territory, and that's all they want to do. They just don't give a damn about anything else. They don't spend any intellectual capital on considering anything else.
The value doesn't exist in the evidence, the physical function, in the mechanical function of the universe. There's absolutely no evidence that the universe in any way is enhanced because biological parasites are eating each other on the surface of Earth.
Yeah, it's a pretty good statement, frankly. So there's just, what's the theory? The theory is that somehow it does matter that we're here, or it's productive, that the universe would be somehow diminished in some substantial way if we didn't torture children here. Come on. So it's like the whole argument about the missing Martians or the Newtonians. The Newtonians? No, there's a planet called, why can't I think of it? Well, anyway, the Uraniases. Anyway, you get the picture. Saturninians, all of these things that are missing. Every single little ball in space doesn't have something living on it, that somehow the universe is diminished. I mean, that's a silly theory. And so obviously we're really, it's just meat grinder. So that's all you're saying. You're saying you're either voting for meat grinder or voting against meat grinder, and saying, no, let's not do this. Let's not just pointlessly grind up feeling things and torture them, because it's just not sensible, not reasonable. It's the worst possible thing you could do in the universe, really. There's not an imaginable worse crime to commit than to invent consciousness and then torture it. No, that's not a plan. That's the anti of a plan. Just really, you can't, is there some conceivable mechanism worse than this? Can I make up some kind of double consciousness or something? I mean, I don't know exactly how I could just say, yes, you feel twice as much and I grind you twice as hard, but beyond magnifying how bad things are, I can't really make an analogy to some comparable bad. I mean, to create an ouch and then make a lot of them happen is just really bad. And that's the world we live in. We live in a really bad mistake. We're the product of a substantial boo-boo. Okay, the universe committed. And it's just led to a tragic waste of a gigantic magnitude of torment. And we have the power, it's just a fact. As a collective, it's theoretically possible for us to stop it. And the only thing stopping us from stopping it is the stoppers. So we must fight the fight against the stoppers. Nazi, stopper, same thing. Yeah, just think of it that way. Anyway, so till the next time and such. So yeah, this is the kind of, I need to do this. I need to organize these thoughts. That's all that really is making the argument. And I think it does have to be made with some art, in the form of some pageant, movie, story, narrative, that has characters in it and that preaches without directly preaching. I mean, direct preaching kind of sucks compared to storytelling. Anyway, and but anyway, it's I'm doing my part. That's what I could say. I'll, I can make bullets, or I can make bullet loaders, or I can make some kind, I can play some role in, the war machine of rhetoric. And that's how it starts, is with rhetoric. Making good arguments. And I'll try to do that. So, till the next time when I attempt to make a good argument. And such, and so forth, and whatnot. Yeah. Thank you for your attention. Such. Watching the whole video. Now the idea is you have to actually go to the website and watch that video. Yeah, so. I know. Yes, it's too much trouble. Okay. Whatever. Till the next time and such. So forth and whatnot.